What if I told you that a Silicon Valley CEO once fired his entire artificial intelligence team on live television? Not quietly, not privately, publicly. 43 engineers, gone in seconds. The audience inside the conference hall gasped. The internet exploded within minutes, and the headlines that followed were brutal. Some called him ruthless, others called him insane. But what nobody knew was this. Less than 48 hours later, that same CEO quietly boarded a flight to Manila, where 500 coders were already waiting for him. People earning a fraction of Silicon Valley salaries. People most of the tech world had never even noticed. People who would soon build something so powerful that it would triple his company's valuation and force the entire tech industry to rethink where genius actually lives. But here's the real mystery. Was this a calculated masterstroke? Or had Chen Wei just accidentally ignited a revolution he never intended to start? This is the untold story of drone tech AI, a desperate CEO, and the moment the global tech industry realized something uncomfortable. Silicon Valley might not be the center of innovation anymore, and the revolution began with the most shocking firing the industry had ever seen. Chen Wei was not known for drama. At 56 years old, he had built drone tech AI into one of the fastest growing artificial intelligence companies in Silicon Valley. Investors trusted him. Engineers respected him. Competitors feared him. He had a reputation for being calm, strategic, and unusually patient for a tech executive, which made what happened next feel completely surreal. Standing on the stage at TechCrunch Disrupt, one of the most influential technology conferences in the world, Chen looked out at a crowd of more than 3,000 people. Millions more were watching online. Behind him, a massive screen displayed the drone tech logo. Then Chen said something nobody expected. "We are eliminating our entire AI research division." The room froze. For a moment, many people thought it was a joke. Then the screen behind him changed. Photographs of 43 engineers appeared one by one. These employees are terminated effective immediately. Gasps rippled through the audience. One engineer who had been sitting near the front stood up slowly and walked out, wiping tears from his face. Phones came out. Tweets exploded. News alerts began spreading across the internet before Chen even finished speaking. Within an hour, the headlines started forming. Silicon Valley's coldest CEO. Drone tech implodes. Visionary or monster? But what none of those headlines understood was this. The firing wasn't the end of Chen's plan. It was a beginning. The beginning of evolution. The beginning of new era technology. The beginning of what the world has never heard of in the history of Silicon Valley. But before we continue, hit the subscribe button now and type 777 in the comment. We want to be sure you are following us. 3 months earlier, Chen had been sitting alone in his office staring at a report that terrified him. Drone tech's artificial intelligence systems were brilliant. Technically, they were some of the most advanced algorithms ever built. But brilliance was not the problem. Speed was. Competitors with weaker technology were launching products 3 times faster. Markets were shifting before drone tech could react. Investors had begun asking uncomfortable questions. So, Chen called his VP of Engineering, Marcus, into the office. Marcus was a Stanford PhD and one of the smartest engineers Chen had ever hired. "Why are we losing?" Chen asked. Marcus studied the data for a long moment before answering. "Because we're too careful." Drone tech's engineers were perfectionists. They optimized everything. They refined every model. They tested endlessly. By the time a product was finally released, the market had already moved on. Then Marcus said something that Chen would replay in his mind for weeks. "Your engineers are too expensive to fail." The room went quiet, because both men understood exactly what that meant. The more comfortable people became, the less risk they took. And in artificial intelligence, speed beats perfection almost every time. That night, Chen sat on his balcony overlooking Silicon Valley and realized something frightening. The very success that had built his company was now slowing it down. And if he didn't change something soon, drone tech might disappear. The following week, Chen told his board he needed a short vacation. That was a lie. Instead, he quietly boarded a long international flight to Manila. He had never visited the Philippines before. Most Silicon Valley executives viewed the country as an outsourcing destination. customer support centers, back office services, not innovation. But the moment Chen arrived, something felt different. Manila was alive. Young people filled cafes with laptops open late into the night. Co-working spaces buzzed with energy. Developers discussed machine learning models and blockchain projects with a level of intensity Chen had not seen in years. One evening, he sat quietly in a small coffee shop, watching a group of programmers work. They moved fast. They argued passionately about code. They tested ideas quickly and moved on when something failed. No hesitation, no fear, just momentum. And Chen suddenly had a thought that felt almost dangerous. What if the next generation of technological innovation wasn't in Silicon Valley at all? What if it was hiding in places Silicon Valley had simply ignored? This is not almost dangerous. This is a dangerous thought. One afternoon, Chen met a young developer named Ricardo Cruz. He had noticed him watching the programmers and struck up a conversation. Ricardo was building a machine learning pipeline for a logistics company. His architecture was elegant. His reasoning was sharp. His salary was $40,000 per year. Chen decided to ask her a question. If someone offered you $200,000 to move to San Francisco, would you go? Ricardo laughed. With that money, he said, I could hire 10 developers here. The answer surprised him. Most Silicon Valley executives assumed talented engineers in developing countries were desperate to leave. But Ricardo didn't want to leave. He wanted opportunity where he already was. And suddenly Chen realized something that changed everything. Maybe the world didn't lack talent. Maybe it only lacked access. Yes, access. When Chen returned to California, he called Marcus immediately. I want you to start hiring engineers in Manila, he said. Quietly. No public announcements. No company branding. Just interviews. Over the next 6 weeks, recruiters met hundreds of developers across the city. They weren't looking for perfect resumes. They were looking for speed, curiosity, relentless problem solvers, people who treated code like it mattered. By the time Chen stepped onto the TechCrunch stage, 500 developers had already accepted job offers. None of them knew they were being hired by drone tech, and none of them realized they were about to become the most controversial experiment in modern tech history. 2 days after the firing, Chen arrived back in Manila. Inside a converted warehouse, 500 developers waited nervously. They believed they had joined a mysterious startup. When Chen walked in, the room fell silent. You have been hired by Drone Tech AI, he said softly. The reaction was explosive. Some people cheered. Others looked stunned. Then Chen surprised them again. He apologized. I fired my previous team publicly, he said quietly, because I needed to force a transformation. He looked around the room carefully. I chose you because you represent something my company had lost. Hunger, curiosity, the willingness to move fast. Then, he made them a promise. You will build the most advanced AI systems in the world. You will do it from Manila. And together, we will prove something. That innovation does not belong to one city. And genius does not come from one country. But promises are easy. Proof is harder. The first month stunned everyone. Chen expected a slow ramp-up period. Instead, productivity exploded. Features appeared in days. Systems that once took months to build suddenly emerged in weeks. The team worked with a rhythm that felt almost electric. They experimented constantly. They failed quickly. They improved faster. Within 2 weeks, Drone Tech's deployment speed had tripled. Chen watched the progress reports late into the night. He had never seen anything like it. And he began to suspect something remarkable. Silicon Valley's advantage had never been talent. It had been opportunity. And now opportunity had finally arrived somewhere else. But the world still didn't know what was happening. That silence wouldn't last long. 3 months later, a reporter received an anonymous tip. Within 48 hours, the story broke. Silicon Valley CEO secretly rebuilds company with Manila coders. The reaction was explosive. Critics called it exploitation. Some investors demanded investigations. Workers' rights groups raised alarms. To outsiders, the situation looked simple. A wealthy CEO had fired American engineers and replaced them with cheaper overseas labor. But Chen refused to defend himself publicly. Instead, he prepared something far more convincing. Results. You know why? Because they say results speaks louder than 1,000 words. Drone Tech released its new AI platform weeks later. The technology stunned the industry. Algorithms ran faster. Deployment took hours instead of days. Companies could solve problems in minutes that previously required massive infrastructure. Adoption exploded. 10,000 companies signed up, then 100,000. Drone Tech's valuation tripled. Suddenly, critics began asking a different question. What exactly had Chen discovered in Manila? What is that thing he is not telling the world? The biggest difference wasn't technical. It was cultural. The Manila engineers worked differently. They weren't chasing prestige. They weren't chasing titles. They were chasing possibility. Many had spent years hearing that the most important technology jobs existed somewhere else. Now those jobs had come to them, and they intended to prove they deserved them. Chen called it the Manila effect. When talent meets opportunity without geographic barriers, innovation accelerates. But just as everything seemed to be working perfectly, nature intervened. 6 months into the experiment, a powerful typhoon struck the Philippines. Power outages spread across Manila. Homes were damaged. Families were displaced. Many drone tech developers lost electricity for days. Ricardo called Chen in tears. "My family needs me," he said. Chen told the entire team the same thing. Take care of your families first. Drone tech would help rebuild. When the developers returned weeks later, something unexpected had happened. Their loyalty had deepened. Because for the first time in history, a global tech company had treated them like partners. Not resources, not even employees, but real partners. By the second year, Chen made another bold decision. Drone tech began hiring engineers across the world. Lagos, Bogota, Jakarta, Cairo. The company became one of the most geographically distributed tech organizations in history. Innovation started appearing everywhere. The assumption that genius lived in one place began to collapse. But Chen still struggled with one question. Had he empowered these developers, or simply discovered a more efficient form of exploitation? The answer is right within, because Chen will provide the answer critically, not with noise, but real soft scenario. One night he asked the Manila team directly, "Do you feel used?" Silence filled the room. Then a developer named Rosa answered, "You didn't give us charity," she said. "You gave us proof. Proof that where someone is born does not define what they can build." And that proof changed everything. Within a few years, a ripple effect spread across the industry. Major tech companies opened engineering hubs around the world. Salaries for developers in Manila rose dramatically. The brain drain slowed. Young engineers realized they no longer needed to move to Silicon Valley to build world-class technology. They could build it from home. And slowly, quietly, the geography of innovation began shifting. Years later, Chen stepped down as CEO. Drone tech was worth tens of billions of dollars. But his proudest achievement was not the company. It was the realization that talent exists everywhere. Opportunity does not. And when the two finally meet, entire industries can change. The firing that once looked cruel had become the spark of a global transformation. Not just a new company, but a new way of thinking about where the future is built. And the revolution that started in Manila was only the beginning